Genesis chapter 6. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of man, that they were fair, and they took them wives all in which they chose. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. The book of Enoch, chapter 6. And it came to pass, when the children of man had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters, and the angels, the children of the heavens, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Samjaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear he will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then swore they all together, and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And there were all 200 who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had all sworn, and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And these were the names of their leaders: Samiazaz, their leader; Erechaba, Remiel, Kokabiel, Timiel, Remiel, Darnell, Ezekiel, Brachiel, Esiel, Amoros, Bethuel, Anael, Zekiel, Samsapiel, Setarel, Turel, Jumjarel, Suriel. These are their chiefs of 10. Chapter 7. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, each chose for himself one, and they began to go unto them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms, and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. And they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of man. And then, when man could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh, and to drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusations against the lawlessness ones. Chapter 8. And Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray, and became corrupt in all their ways. And Samjaza taught them enchantments and root cuttings, Amoros, the resolving of enchantments. Brachiel taught astrology, Kokabiel, constellations, Ezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds, Arachiel, the signs of the earth, Shamsiel, the signs of the sun, and Suriel, the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cries went up to heaven. Chapter 9. And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from heaven and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being brought upon the earth. And they said to one another, the earth is made without inhabitant cries, the voices of their crying up to the gates of heaven. And now to you, the holy ones of heaven, the souls of man make their suit, saying, bring our cause before the Most High. And they said to the Lord of ages, Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, and God of the ages, thy throne of thy glory unto all the generations of the ages. And thy name holy and glorious and blessed unto all the ages. Thou hast made all things, and power over all things. Hast thou all things are naked and open in thy sight, and thou seest all things. Nothing can hide itself from thee. Thou seest that Azazel had done, who brought and taught all unrighteousness on the earth, and revealed the internal secrets which were preserved in heaven, which men were striving to learn. And Simjaza, to whom thou hast given authority to bear rule over his associates, and they have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth, and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves, and revealed them all kinds of sins. And the women have borne giant, and the whole earth thereby has been filled with blood and unrighteousness. And now, behold, the souls who have died are crying and making their suits to the gate of heaven, and their lamentations have ascended and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds which are brought on the earth. And thou knowest all things before they come to pass, and thou seest things, and thou doesn't suffer them. Not say to us what we are to do to them in regard to thee. Chapter 10. Great One spoke and sent Uriel to the son of Lameth, and said to him, go to Noah and tell him in my name, hide thyself, and reveal to him the end that is approaching, and the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come on the whole earth, and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him that he may escape, and his seed may be preserved for all generations of the world. And again the Lord said to Raphael, bind Azazel hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, cover him with darkness, let him abide there forever, and cover his face, that he may not see light. And on the day of the great judgment he shall be cast into the fire, and heal the earth which the angels had corrupted, and proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, and that all the children of men may not perish through all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons. And the whole earth has been corrupted. And to Gabriel said the Lord, proceed against the bastards and against the children of fornication, and destroy the children of fornication, and the children of the watchers from amongst men, and cause them to go forth, send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle. For the later days shall they not have, and no request that they, their fathers, make of thee shall be granted unto their fathers on their behalf, for they hope to live in eternal life, that each one of them will live 500 years. And the Lord said unto Michael, go and bind Simjaza and his associates, who have entitled themselves with women, so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanliness. And when their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, till the day of their judgment, and the torment of their prison, in which they shall be confined forever. And whomsoever shall be condemned and destroyed will from thenceforth be brought together with them into the end of all, and destroy all the spirits and the children of the watchers, because they have wronged mankind, destroyed all wrong from the face of the earth, and let evil work come to an end. And let the plant of righteousness and truth appear, and it shall prove a blessing. The works of righteousness and truth shall be. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. Alright, so the first thing we need to do with Genesis chapter 6 is first establish a timeline. So Genesis chapter 6 takes place before Noah's flood. That the sons of God saw the daughters of man, that they were fair. Okay, so in the Old Testament, anytime the phrase the sons of God is mentioned, they are referring to the angels. So if you go by the order of angels, the watchers would be in a group of dominions, which mean the watchers, they are overseers of mankind. Each type of angel in the heavenly realm are assigned a specific duty to help or further mankind. In this case, the watchers were to govern over mankind and watch mankind. And they took the wives, all of which they chose. Okay, so what exactly is being said when it says that the sons of God saw the daughters of man and saw that they were fair, and they took them wives, all in which they chose? Okay, so what they are saying is that the angels, the sons of the heaven, saw the daughters of man, and they took on physical bodies and descended to the earth. Now, we know that angels, in fact, can leave their first estate, which is their spiritual self, and take on physical bodies, because Gabriel showed himself to Mary as a man when he told her that she was going to bear the Son of God, which was Jesus. When the angel Gabriel entered her home and greeted her and said, "Don't be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God. You will become pregnant, give birth to a son, name him Jesus. He will be a great man, and he will be called the Son of the Most High." There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. Okay, so let's get this straight. What they are saying is that the sons of God, the angels, saw the daughters of man and lusted after them, and descended to earth and took on human physical bodies and had children with earth women. This is getting pretty far-fetched, right? You may be surprised to learn that it's not as far-fetched as you may think. You see, the Bible is filled with references about giants. All you have to do is a little bit of research. But in fact, you don't even have to do that. All you need to do is a little bit of research on the internet, and you will find that there are numerous newspaper articles from the early 1900s and late 1800s of giant skeletons being found all over the earth, and a lot in America. In fact, all you have to do is research the Lovelock Caves in Minnesota. Here are some articles. The New York Times, February 11th, 1902. The bones of giants found. The New York Times, May 4th, 1912. And not only that, all we really need to do is look at mythology itself. So let's start with Greek mythology when we talk about the Titans and the Olympians. At the center of Greek mythology is the pantheon of deities who were said to live on Mount Olympus, the highest mountain in Greece. From their perch, they ruled every aspect of human life. Olympian gods and goddesses looked like men, but they were described as giants. Though they could change themselves into animals and other things, there was as many myths accounting variable accounts of human possessions. The Battle of the Titans, the Battle of the Gods, are just the Titan War. These wars were between the Titans, the older gods, and the Olympians, the newer generation of gods. The Titans ruled Mount Olympus, and the Olympians would rule Mount Olympus. The Titans and the Olympians fought to decide who would rule the universe. In the end, the Olympians, who were led by Zeus, won.
Okay, so it turns out that Greek mythology is full of false gods, or what we would call demigods. And also, is there not a correlation between the Greek mythology and the book of Enoch? In the book of Enoch, the angels descended to the summit of Mount Hermon. Okay, in Greek mythology, the demigods ruled over Mount Olympus. Need a little bit more convincing? Let's look at the Sumerian mythology.
Sumerians believe anthropomorphic pantheism, or of many gods in human form, which were specific to each city-state. The core of the pantheon consists of an heaven, Enki, a healer and friend to humans. Enlil gave spells spirits must obey. Enia, love and war. Utu, sun god, and Sin, moon god.
So it seems that even the Sumerian mythology is full of false gods, or what we call demigods. But here's the main one. Let's take a look at the Egyptian mythology.
Course of Egyptian history, hundreds of gods and goddesses were worshipped. Most had a principal association, for an example, with the sun or the underworld, but these could change over time as gods rose and fell in importance and evolved in ways that corresponded to developments in Egyptian society. Here are a few of the most important deities. Osiris, one of Egypt's most important deities, was god of the underworld. He also symbolized death, resurrection. According to myths, Osiris was the king of Egypt who was murdered and dismembered by his brother Seth. His wife Isis reassembled his body and resurrected him, allowing him to conceive a son, the god Horus. He was represented as a mummified king wearing wrappings that left only the green skin of his hands and face exposed. Horus, depicted as a falcon or as a man with a falcon's head. Horus was a sky god associated with war and hunting. He was also the embodiment of the divine kingship, and in some areas, the resigning king was considered to be a manifestation of Horus.
So let's be honest with ourselves. When it comes to worldwide mythology, such as the Olympians, the Egyptians, the Sumerians, all of these myths or mythology have a close connection to what the biblical reference refer to as the sons of God, or the angels, or the Elohim as it is mentioned, which means the shining ones. Now, with that being said, when the angels came into the daughters of man and they bore children by them, which were giants, mighty men of old, men of renown, in biblical references, this is referred to as the Nephilim. See, it's important to keep in mind that when we refer to what we know as myths or legends or mythology, all of these myths or legends have an origin of truth, which means that in the beginning, when the tale or the mythology is told, it is fact. But over the ages, it gets distorted and it refers to different parts of the world, such as the Greeks, such as the Egyptians, such as the Sumerians. But the truth is that the origin of the myth or the legend is factual, and we must always remember that.